The word humble seems to be lost on quite a few Arsenal fans and Arsenal Football Club on the whole, to be honest, because the way they conducted themselves on that football pitch yesterday was quite literally the opposite of humble. Humble literally means having a modest or low estimate of one's importance. And when you're mocking other football players on that pitch, players that have achieved unbelievable things in the game, trebles, things like that, Champions Leagues, things like that, things that your club have never won, then you do wonder if you actually understand what the word humble means, in all honesty. And I don't think they actually know. I have my doubts, put it that way. But I mean, the strange thing is I had a very similar experience for my own lad. My son is 7 years old. He was playing football for his football team on Saturday afternoon, and I'm the manager of that football team. I look after him. They were 6-0 down at half-time. We had a couple of players missing. We were getting a spanking. 6-0 at half-time. My lad plays up front for them, and at half-time they all come in heads down feeling sorry for themselves. I said, go out and just win the second half, lads. Have a good time, enjoy yourselves, because you're 7. Do you know what I mean? It's all about the enjoyment at that age. Go out, enjoy yourselves, try and win the second half. That's all that matters. They won that second half 1-0. My lad was the centre forward. They eventually got the ball to him. He beat the centre back who's been tormenting him all game and had been a bit of a wind-up merchant, but they're 7, as I keep emphasising. And he scored, and my lad had the audacity to do that to him. So I went, oi, over here now, mate. Get over here right now. None of that, mate. None of that. You've achieved nothing today. We've lost 6-1, 6-1. You cannot be going around shushing people, when you've scored a goal. Fair enough. Great goal, by the way. Buried it in the bottom corner. But I mean, 6. We've conceded 6, mate. We can't do that. We can't do that. You've achieved nothing. Very similar to Lewis Skelly, to be honest, except this isn't a 7-year-old we're talking about. We're talking about a Premier League footballer. I'm not interested in his age, to be honest, and what the fact that he's actually won for himself in terms of 18 years old. I mean, Phil Foden obviously got a Premier League trophy. He got himself a League Cup. He got himself an FA Cup. And he got himself a Community Shield, all by the time he was 18 years old. So, it's doable, but they're the standards of the two football clubs. You know what I mean? We have higher standards. Our 18-year-olds expect more of themselves and more of their achievements as well, whereas you've got another one who's, as they say, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And if you are going to copy Erling Haaland, that is an incredible talent that you're trying to emulate there. You're trying to be Erling Haaland, and we saw the whole PSG squad do exactly the same thing once upon a time when he was wearing a Borussia Dortmund shirt. So, yeah, how did that work out for PSG? Not too well in the end, in all honesty, because they're still not won a Champions League trophy, and all of their superstar players have gone on to separate clubs, and even Kylian Mbappe isn't exactly ripping up trees in La Liga right now, is he? So, I mean, you need to learn what the word humble actually means, because you've got a striker there that's bagged himself a treble, and your superstar, what did he do? What did Thierry Henry actually achieve? What he achieved was 4 major trophies. That's what he achieved, where Erling Haaland achieved more than that in the first year at Manchester City. Do you know what I mean? There's different standards between the two football clubs and the way they conducted themselves on that pitch. Gabriel as well. It's not just Lewis Skelly, by the way. There was a number of them. The way they conducted themselves on that pitch was below what the term humble means. Yet they have the audacity to say, stay humble to us. And now I think the term stay humble was completely missed. They are missing the point entirely. What they did achieve yesterday was the We Beat Manchester City Cup yesterday, which, I mean, it isn't much of an achievement anymore, because the Premier League have been running a train on us this season, to be honest. Quite a number of teams have achieved that. Spurs, 4-0. Sporting Lisbon, even not in the Premier League, we've been getting 4 put past us numerous times in the Champions League, with PSG scoring 4, Sporting Lisbon scoring 4, United beating us. I mean, that alone is unbelievable. United beat us this season. So it's not much of an achievement anymore. When someone's been running a train on you and you're the last cabin on that train, Arsenal, you're cabin fucking X, mate. Everyone's had a go at Manchester City this season. There's nothing to be proud of, And as much as I'm deflecting away and discrediting Arsenal here, by the way, I'm going to be nailing the City players soon, by the way. There's no ignoring the problems at Manchester City here. I'm well aware of what Manchester City of problems are. We have an abundance of problems right now. So much to go through. And I've got the player ratings as well, because there's some players that I need to cop for it, because they've been poor Manchester City players. But I do want to discredit Arsenal, because I don't feel like they were that good yesterday. I wasn't that impressed. It's hard to credit a side who gets an XG of 1, as you can see, and scored 5 goals. They were gift-wrapped goals. So I don't really have much credit to give Arsenal, to be honest. And I feel like we handed the majority of their goals to them. And I'll be disappointed if they go and win the league, because I think that will be Liverpool bottling it and gifting it to Arsenal. But at this point, I mean, this is one area as a football fan I never thought I'd ever be in. Actually wishing Liverpool well. You know, at this point, I never thought I would wish Liverpool go and win the league to prevent Arsenal from winning, because obviously we're no chance for Manchester City. So at this point, it's like the lesser of two evils in this situation. I never thought I would say that about Liverpool Football Club, but here we are. Oh, well, congratulations, Arsenal Football Club. You've achieved that. You've achieved something I never thought I would ever say, that I would rather see Liverpool go and win the Premier League. But yeah, unbelievable. Manchester City, though, let's talk about us, because we have some massive problems, mate. It is such a bad season for us at the minute. We need to get to this summer, get these transfers done, as many as we can, before the January transfer window shuts, and then move into the summer, get more players into this football club, because there's too many problems here for Manchester City. Let's start with Ortega. You guys who follow the channel regularly know that I've been a big advocate for Stefan Ortega this season. I am still a big fan of him, but that was such a poor performance from Stefan Ortega. Distribution mainly was shocking. I do think he could have done better with Lewis Skelly's shot, to be honest, because it wasn't exactly in the corner, was it? He got a big, strong left hand to it, and normally he's strong enough to tip it further away than that, but it sort of went through his hands and over his thumb a little bit. I would have expected him to have done a little bit better than that. He did pull off a good save in the second half from Martinelli, but other than that, the distribution got away with murder with one of the chances that he gave away in the first half. Should have definitely, to be honest, been 2-0 at that point. But yeah, not a great day in the office for Stefan Ortega. John Stones, I thought he had a composed first half on the ball. He was all right. Second half, he got caught out all too often. I felt like he should have been closing down Lewis Skelly a little bit quicker. Out of the two the defenders at the back, he certainly wasn't the big offenders, you know, in terms of the mistakes. He was controlled on the football, but he definitely could have done better in that second half. And the shape overall from the Manchester City side at the back was all over the place. And to be honest, it's probably one of his jobs to make sure that shape stays in shape. And he didn't do that in the second half. And there was a bit of a collapse once that third goal goes in. But yeah, composed in the first half, that's about it. Akanji. Clanger. Set the tone for the whole afternoon, to be honest. It set the tone. It's as soon as that went in, you just went, here we go. It's going to be one of them days again. Long afternoon for Manchester City, and he absolutely set that tone. I think he needs dropping at this point, to be honest. Not sold, because I do think some of the criticism that's come his way as a result of this has been a bit excessive, you know, a bit harsh. I don't think we need to forget what he's done for this football club, but he is someone that I think will be there next season and be a vital player for Manchester City next season. I still have a lot of high hopes for Manchester City and Akanji's relationship together, but he needs to be dropped at this point. He's had a lot of football, and he's struggling. He's struggling in wearing that shirt at the minute, and it's getting a bit too much for him. His mistakes are getting all too often. We saw him against Club Brugge make a couple of mistakes, going for a header in the first couple of minutes where Nunes clearly was the one who should be going for that, and Akanji comes flying out and gets involved. Doesn't need to. And that was the Club Brugge game where we get away with it, but we don't get away with it at the Emirates, unfortunately, because they've got players that'll kill you, and they did exactly that, and Akanji set the tone, so yeah, poor. Gvardiol, really good defensive numbers, couldn't come forward that much because he's got to worry about Martinelli, and I think that was an instruction from Pep Guardiola to look after Martinelli, who was going to be the main threat. They clearly put Martinelli on the right for this game, hoping that Gvardiol was going to go forward and kill us in that gap that they left back. As a result, Gvardiol didn't really come forward that much to look after that potential problem of Martinelli, so I think that was the right move from Pep, in all honesty, to do that. But as a result, you got Nunes coming down the other side, and Trossard was still a danger in that gap that we were leaving behind as well. So, yeah, he still managed to get the compulsory error that led to a shot, Gvardiol. So even though I don't think he was the worst offender in the defence for Manchester City, still making mistakes, as all of them seems to do at the minute. So, I mean, as much as he's got a better score than the rest of them, I still think there's problems defensively for Gvardiol. So, yeah, not great. Nunes, need a right-back. We need a right-back badly. We do, because I dribbled past twice. I feel for him. He's out of shape. It's not a position he's obviously used to, but he should be getting more used to it. He should be learning quicker than he is right now, because he keeps flying into tackles that are just not there to be won. He did win a couple of good tackles, in fairness to him, but he's just getting caught out all too often. And I can't stress enough how much I feel for him, because it's like having a go at someone who's clearly not made for that job. You know, he's not a right-back. You know, he's not a right-back, and yeah, his time at City is starting to worry me a little bit, because he's not doing enough in the positions. Again, I just feel sorry for him. It's hard to criticise a guy for playing badly in right-back when you're not a right-back. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to me at all. Kovacic, man of the match for me, 100% passing accuracy. That, by the way, is not like 5 out of 5. That's 59 passes out of 59 passes. Do you know what I mean? Great defensive numbers as well, by the way. I thought he could walk off that pitch. One of the very few players that could walk off that pitch with his head held high after the performance yesterday. One of the few. I love him. I'm a big fan of Kovacic. I said it against Club Brugge. He scored the goal to get us back into the game in that game. I think he's so important to this Manchester City side, especially in the absence of Rodri. I would love a Manchester City side without Bernardo Silva alongside Kovacic. I would rather see Kovacic and Rodri. Imagine that as a combination. That's exciting. But next year, Kovacic is going to be the wrong side of 30, further into his 30s. So I mean, is his numbers days numbered? Sorry, because. Yeah, as much as he's been brilliant for us, he's getting older as well. We need to start thinking and future-proofing ourselves a little bit for these players. You know, we should have learned our lesson already. These players are getting older, you know, and as much as Kovacic played well yesterday, he's in that older category, isn't he? Frustrating. mcfc, 100% passing accuracy, but that is 1 out of 1. So hard to get excited about that. Put himself about, talking about 18 minutes of football here, substitute appearance, put himself about, not much more to say than that for James McAtee. De Bruyne, also 18 minutes of football, but 50% passing accuracy this time for him. That's 2 out of 4. Dribbled past once. He's got to do better. As much as 18 minutes of football is a small amount of football to be judging someone on, he's come on and given the ball away 50% out of the 4 passes that he made, and he got rinsed. You know, he's got to do better, Kevin De Bruyne. You know, even in the 18 minutes, he's got to do better. He's got to do better there. And there's a reason why I don't think Pep's playing him, because I just don't think he's there. You know, I'm not sure he's there mentally there. He's physically not there. He's just not delivering this season. So, again, someone whose days could well be numbered at Manchester City. And it's a shame, because what a legend he is. You know what I mean? It seems to be, I always have to add a caveat with City fans for you to understand that I'm not criticising the man for the career he's had. We know what the career he's had, but right now we've got to isolate the performances right now, this week, last week, and recent weeks. We've got to talk about it in that isolated structure. You know, he's not playing well right now, and obviously that doesn't mean he's never played well for Manchester City, because he's an absolute legend, no denying that, but his days are numbered for me, and as a 34-year-old, what else do you expect? Foden killed us with that pass. That pass was a joke, to be honest. Real clanger of a pass. Outside of that, he drifted through the game, and again, someone for me who he gets a lot of protection from Manchester City fans, and I know why, because he's one of our own. He's a Manc who's come through the academy, you know. I don't know why Rico Lewis doesn't get that same level of protection, to be honest, but probably because Rico Lewis hasn't delivered at the stages that Phil Foden has, so I get it to that extent, but still, it gets a little bit too much protection, Foden, for me, because this season's been poor. Not enough has been said about it for me, and the performance yesterday wasn't great. But don't forget, recent weeks, by the way, the Brentford performance, and there was a couple of goals he scored before the Brentford game as well. He's been brilliant in recent weeks. The 6 weeks prior to yesterday, Phil Foden's been somewhat of a close resemblance to the player that we recognised in the player of the season version that we saw last season. Where's that guy gone again? He dipped again yesterday, and he fell to the low standards that we were seeing at the start of the season again yesterday. Really poor from Foden yesterday, disappointing. Bernardo Silva, zero impact going forward on the game. That's probably more of a positional thing, to be honest, because he was playing a lot deeper. Did put in some good tackles. Again, same as what I've said about Kevin De Bruyne, you can echo those same words about Bernardo Silva. Playing poorly, legend of the game, legend for Manchester City, what a player. It's just days are numbered. The clock is ticking for too many of these players, unfortunately. Marmoush, a lot of positive attempts from him. Attempts is the key word. Didn't quite come off for him. Slipped some nice balls through the lines, which was great, and there was a couple of good crosses thrown in there as well. There's so much more to come from Marmoush. The guy's been here for 10 minutes, do you know what I mean? He's barely played any football for Manchester City, so it feels harsh. He's been thrown in the deep end in 2 very difficult fixtures, Chelsea at home and Arsenal away. So 2 difficult games. So much more to come from him. This guy's he's gonna do bits. He's gonna be incredible for Manchester City, guaranteed. I'm waiting for him to announce himself on the big stage with a big goal, big moment, and then we'll be waxing lyrical about him probably next season at this point now. But I'd like to see little glimpses, little signs of what's to come this season. Savinho never gave up. He never gave up, even at 4-1. I think a lot of those players on that pitch yesterday down-tooled a little bit. Once that fourth went in, heads dropped. I get it, but I mean, still, wear the badge with pride, please. I would like to see a little bit more pride. Going out with a defeat and letting a fifth go in the manner that we did was very, very disappointing from a lot of those players in that midfield and in the defence and all of them. Bar Savinho, for me, he was running about until the last whistle yesterday, Savinho. So I got a lot of respect for him and the work ethic that he showed. Again, he's a future player. Mamouche, you've got Savinho, even Erling Haaland, of course. I mean, we forget how young he is. The future players of Manchester City are still something to get incredibly excited about. Savinho is definitely in that bracket. You're wondering what Doku can blossom into as a player as well. Mamouche, obviously. Phil Foden needs to be included in that category, as much as I've stuck the knife in him in this video a little bit, and he deserves it. For me, still got a huge future at Manchester City. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Savinho, yeah, one to be incredibly excited about. Got himself an assist, of course, yesterday, so as well, that's going to help his score. But yeah, not much else to say other than that. Haaland conducted himself admirably yesterday. I got a lot of respect for Erling Haaland because he was targeted yesterday. Clearly, he has hurt the precious little feelings of Arsenal Football Club. He has haunted them for many, many years now, and he's hurt them. The word "stay humble" seems to have really hurt them a lot, to the point where they came on that pitch with a lot of venom, with vengeance yesterday. That was all about getting their revenge yesterday, which is a small-minded approach to a Premier League title race, to be honest, to single out City, who are fourth at this point, and being excited about the prospect of beating this particular Manchester City side isn't worth getting that excited about, to be honest, because while you want to celebrate it and you're sort of vicariously living in the previous season a little bit, living in the past memories of beating that Manchester City side would be an achievement. This season, it's not that much to get too giddy about, in all honesty, because we've been getting battered by everybody, like I said at the start of the video, and they singled out Erling Haaland. They didn't stop him from scoring, though, so he touched the ball 10 times. He had one chance and he scored one goal. Got to improve on the passing, but again, that's 2 out of 5, 40% passing accuracy, so he's not got much of the ball. I think Manchester City need to really get a better system in place for next season to get more out of Erling Haaland, similar to how we took the Premier League by surprise in the treble-winning season, and there was still enough quality there in the season after to go and win a 4th Premier League title in a row. This season, the gap between creativity and goals between Haaland and the midfield has been too big all too often, and the chances have become few and far between for Erling Haaland. And as much as people want to write off Haaland because he goes missing in games, but that's his game. He's such a defined player. We've got to play to his strengths, and without that, he's going to go through games anonymous. But yesterday, he had one chance, one goal. That's what he's all about. If we can start creating him 4 or 5 chances a game again, we're going to win most football matches again. We've got to start getting back to that. Tough one to take, Blues. A real bitter pill to swallow until I saw the reaction of the Arsenal fans, in all honesty, and it made it a little bit easier to swallow because it just reminded me of where their mental well-being is at in terms of the standards that they set their football club, and the achievements that they consider achievements versus what we've actually achieved in the game. There's a chasm between the two, to be honest, but you got to take it on the chin. We got a beating yesterday, 5-1. We got to come back. Leyton Orient next. Blues, let me know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.